Donald Trump is very upset. It's very hard for him to deal with. I don't know what his relationship with women has been in his life, but he has discovered that women go to the bathroom. And it's been very upsetting for him. And this is what I quote. Now, I was there at the debate we had on Saturday night. But I got to be honest with you. Got to lay it out on the table. I also went to the bathroom.
Good morning. It's Wednesday, December 23rd. Wow. Welcome to Morning Joe. Where has the conversation gone?
To the bathroom.
Potty.
It's Christmas week.
Toilet talk.
It is Christmas
No
week.
toilet talk at the table this morning, gentlemen.
No, we are instead going to be talking Yiddish.
With us on set.
No, don't say Willie. Willie, no. It appears that our long national nightmare is over. Schlongate coming to an end. No?
Joe, it's 6:01.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Really, pace yourself.
It's over. We had Jeff Greenfield come out and say this is the sort of thing that you said when it meant to be beaten badly. Jake Tapper retweeted a quote from a pundit in 1984 saying Ferraro and Mindell.
This is taking too long.
You know?
Bad.
Yeah. So, is Trump vindicated here?
Trump, don't ask me that. Trump cited the same 1984 moment when that was used as a verb.
Right.
But your Jeff Greenfield point, Jeff Greenfield's certainly not a guy I wouldn't suspect is going to vote for Donald Trump. He said that is a term that is used.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Defeated someone. Beat someone badly.
Beat somebody badly. That's all we're going to say.
And that's all I have to say on that.
We have MSNBC political analyst and professor at the University of Michigan School of Public Policy, former Democratic Congressman
these sort of
Harold Ford
to
Jr.
the best and the brightest every day.
We have the president of the Council on Foreign Relations, Richard Haass, with us. And in Washington, MSNBC political analyst and former chairman of the Republican National Committee, Michael Steele. He's wearing a poinsettia.
Wow.
Yes. Wow. It's Christmas.
It's the poinsettia. Fantastic. All right.
Thanks, Mika.
You're welcome. All right. Can we get to the news? Are you done?
I wanted to look at his sweater.
Yeah, I know. I didn't actually. Okay, so let's start with politics. Michael. We love Michael.
He's famous.
The Hillary Clinton-Donald Trump feud continued yesterday on multiple fronts. Let's start with Clinton's claim at Saturday's Democratic debate that ISIS is, quote, showing videos of Donald Trump insulting Islam and Muslims in order to recruit more radical jihadists. Clinton seemed to refine that argument in a town hall in Iowa yesterday.
You know, people around the world pay very close attention to our elections. And if you go on Arabic television, as we have, and you look at what is being blasted out with video of Mr. Trump being translated into Arabic, no Muslims coming to the United States, other kinds of derogatory, defamatory statements, it is playing into the hands of the violent jihadists.
So I think that's a viable argument. I got some tweets and other little online social things sent to me from the campaign to try and back up the first claim she made.
But she was talking about,
was not
Richard,
a true claim.
Arab TV. Okay, yes, we all know it's going to be blasted on Arab TV. That's far different than saying ISIS has already taken Donald Trump videos and turned them into recruitment videos.
Yeah, it went too far. It's ironic because normally you don't have to go too far when it comes to Mr. Trump. Normally he provides you all the ammunition
exactly the thing
you need and may one day end up there. But I think it's a larger point is right, which is this is not Las Vegas. What's said here doesn't stay here. This campaign is playing out globally, and this is now foreign policy. We don't think of it that way, but this has actually become part of American foreign policy for better and often for worse.
I need you to follow up on that. We were talking to Nancy Gibbs, who had not selected Trump as Person of the Year at Time magazine, and she was making it sound more like a local phenomenon. We had talked about how when you went abroad over the past several months, instead of talking about global warming, they wanted to talk about Trump. Instead of talking about trade, they wanted to talk about Trump. Instead of talking about ISIS, they would begin by asking you about Trump. Is this real? Are we really going to have to deal with this man as your commander-in-chief?
Absolutely. It was the #1 conversation around dinner tables all over the world, but it's actually part of a larger phenomenon. I remember during the O.J. Simpson trial, whenever I would travel, that would be topic #1.
Right.
When we would have civil rights issues here, or Hurricane Katrina, that would be topic #1 around the world. People forget that TV shows the United States everywhere else. The rest of the world follows us much more closely than we follow it. Foreign students know us much more better than American students know the rest of the world. So everything that happens here is watched. We set an example, and it's an important part of foreign policy. Foreign policy is not just what the State Department does. Foreign policy is who we are as a society.
And what feedback do you get?
On this, what the campaign makes people incredibly uneasy because so much of the rest of the world is dependent on us for their security.
Uneasy about the possibility of Donald Trump being president?
Not just that, but they watch a lot of the debates and they look at the level of knowledge about American foreign policy and a lot of the candidates, and it makes a lot of the rest of the world, because they wake up and
they're not comforted by Ben Carson's command of foreign policy.
There's a lot of things that are said, including Mr. Trump, including Dr. Carson, including others, that make them uneasy because they wake up every day. And they have cast their lot with us. They are dependent on us. They depend upon our reliability and seriousness. This makes them uneasy.
All right.
Harold? You can, just two hardcore examples. You had the ambassador to the UAE, our good friend, on the other day. He indicated, take Trump, but in addition to Trump, he said 4 years ago, if a different decision had been made about Syria and the way America approached that, clearly people pay attention to this. And two, for Vladimir Putin to be following this race as closely as he apparently has, to make the comments that he did, it is obvious from one end of the spectrum to the other, to build on Richard's points, there is absolutely no doubt that world leaders and those who care deeply about foreign policy around the globe are following this race and our candidates very closely.
Can I say one thing? And also, just to be fair, it comes against the context of already a lack of confidence in the United States, in part because of this administration, in part because of Syria. More than anything else, what this administration didn't do in Syria had real ripple effects, so this is now reinforcing that.
Let's go to the Yiddish desk. Let's have an update on the Yiddish word of the day.
Good, this one falls to me. Donald Trump is taking to Twitter to explain his use of a word he used during a rally on Monday night that many say was offensive. You'll recall he used the word when describing Hillary Clinton's 2008 primary loss to then Senator Barack Obama. And the Republican frontrunner tweeted yesterday, quote, "Once again, mainstream media is dishonest," adding the word he used, quote, "is not vulgar." He went on to say, quote, "It's a shame that the biased media is able to so incorrectly define a word for the public when they know that the definition is wrong." Trump also said it's a word, quote, "often used in politics." As an example, he tweeted that NPR's Neil Conan said the word to the Washington Post in reference to the 1984 Mondale-Ferraro campaign, Trump using the hashtag hypocrisy.
Which begs the question, what was Neil Conan thinking?
31 years ago. Members of Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, exactly. What was he thinking 31 years ago?
I think that was, correct me if I'm wrong, that was the only other instance where it was used. Although Donald Trump himself did use it 4 years ago when he was talking about a congressional race. So
you guys know way too much about this. Continue.
Well, we actually read in on these stories.
This is called research.
Preparation.
As I've said before, for every hour I'm on television, that's 5 hours of prep. Go ahead.
5 now. Yeah. Members of Hillary Clinton's camp chose to respond by saying they wouldn't respond. Communications Director Jen Palmieri tweeted, "We're not responding to Trump, but everyone who understands the humiliation this degrading language inflicts on all women should." And while Clinton herself did not weigh in on that specific attack at a town hall yesterday in Iowa, she did speak at length about bullying after this question from a 10-year-old girl.
What are you going to do about all this bullying? Not just because of just people who want to be mean, but mental and physical and diseases that people have that they're able to live with every day.
Can you tell me a little bit more about why that's on your mind?
I have asthma, and occasionally I've heard people talking behind my back about not wanting to be near me because I have asthma. I mean, people, it's not contagious. It's not going to.
That was really brave. I know it's sort of odd coming from a person running for president, but I really do think we need more love and kindness in our country. I think we are not treating each other with the respect and the and the care that we should show toward each other. And that's why it's important to stand up to bullies wherever they are, and why we shouldn't let anybody bully his way into the presidency. Because that is not who we are as Americans.
I thought her tone was good. I thought that was a nice moment. You don't know what's calculated, what's not calculated. I'm just saying. I thought that was a nice moment. I thought her tone was good. I thought she looked good in terms of real. Wasn't perfect. The hair wasn't like all in place. I think that was more of the Hillary that Hillary needs to show.
You mentioned the hair not because she's a woman, but because she is always so in her events canned.
Right.
You know, in front of a tractor with perfect lighting and a table full of people all going, "We love you so much," and instead you got a feeling that she was a little beaten up.
Yeah.
She had been through the debate, she'd gotten to New Hampshire, and she was connecting. It still might have all been set up, but it was well done. And I'll just say she sounded tired, but actually sometimes you have to be that tired to have a real voice.
Right.
And get rid of all that stuff, all the noise in your ear from
Right.
campaigns that still think it's 1982.
Oh, and by the way,
You know?
I mean, I would say the same thing for Mitt Romney. There are times, you know, Mitt Romney always had goop in his hair, and everything was always perfect. I remember once
Yeah,
or
I'm just
twice
clarifying what you
where
meant by that.
No,
You know.
everybody knows, but in case somebody, I mean, surely the Clinton campaign would never suggest anything, but you know, I think Mitt Romney would have goop in his hair perfectly, and sometimes he'd forget to put the goop in, and his hair would like blow around. It'll look like a real guy. It'll
Right.
look less canned. It'll
Well,
look
and
less packaged.
a lot of Republican-
Hillary looked less packaged there.
Yes.
It was a good look.
And a lot of Republican candidates like Chris Christie have gone up to New Hampshire and just worked it and gotten pulled at and tugged at and punched and confronted, and you know, they're still standing and still working it, and that's what's made them better. She's good when she gets out there with people, and she should get out there with real people.
Yep.
I venture to say this probably wasn't a completely extemporaneous and loosely coordinated event, because that's just not how Hillary Clinton does it. And there's some security reasons why she can't. But again, remember New Hampshire, back when her back was against the wall years ago,
Yeah.
and she got in there, and she got personal, and she got real, and she was great.
Yep.
And you saw a little shade of that yesterday, and I was just like, oh, please, more.
Just a little more. Let's watch what Jeb Bush had to say about Hillary Clinton's feud with Donald Trump.
Being the victim, you know, this will enhance her victimology status. This is what she loves doing. Trump is not going to be president because he says these things. It turns people off. I mean, for crying out loud, we're 2 days before Christmas. Lighten up, man.
Well,
I like that
victimology.
I do
Playing the
like that.
victim.
Lighten up, man. Yeah, he said she's great at playing the victim. They do. It's a couple days before Christmas, so I'm going to be a bit subtle with my words. The Clinton campaign always needs to be careful when they talk about the mistreatment of women, because they may be running against a guy who is going to be waiting for them to talk about war on women, or women being mistreated, or women being degraded, and then Katie barred the door. It's going to get ugly. That's my Christmas warning to the Clinton campaign.
I agree. I think that
They need to be
can't
very
overcorrect
careful.
on little things like this, and it should be just cast off as stupidity.
They can't like
Stupid. The whole thing's stupid.
see a word that and act like this degrades all women in a way that, let's say, sexual harassment in the workplace
Or
would
equal
degrade
pay.
women, or equal pay, or harassment, or even rape. You just can't draw those.
Not in
straight
this
lines.
election.
They-
Are you uncomfortable, Richard?
They just need to be. They need to be.
Okay.
The Clinton
'cause we're just
campaign needs
telling
to
the
be very
truth.
careful, and especially if they draw Donald Trump, because the first time she talks about women being mistreated,
Yeah.
just sit back and take notes.
You know, they stage manage these events, as
I know.
Mika rightly
They're very
says. But a few
managed.
days ago, Hillary Clinton was asked at a town hall about exactly what you're talking
And it
about.
was
And the list
very
of the names
uncomfortable.
came out. And I think she looked a little stunned for a second. I don't think she thinks that's on the table right now.
Because it isn't, and it
About
hasn't
her husband?
been. It has never been
That's
on
right.
the table. It has never been on the table. Nobody would ever go there, and for good reason.
Except for Donald Trump.
Donald
So
Trump.
don't overcorrect. I swear you're being helpful.
Expect the first time she talks about war on women or talks about Juanita Broaddrick's name will be the first of many, many names to go out there. That's, again, goes back to what we were saying over the past couple days. Never debate an amateur because they'll beat you every time. William F. Buckley, they don't play by the rules. Trump won't play by the rules. And people thinking that Hillary Clinton will have an easier ride to the White House against Donald Trump instead of Ted Cruz, they're just wrong.
All right, this all comes as Donald Trump holds a commanding lead in the latest Reuters tracking poll. Trump is at 37% for the Republican nomination, followed by Ben Carson and Ted Cruz, 26 points behind at 11% each. Marco Rubio at 8%, Jeb Bush at 7%.
Wow, Willie, Harold, look at those numbers. My gosh. It's, that is a bit of a blowout.
It is. I mean, 26 points. We've seen 23 points. Michael Steele, as you look down that list, I guess Ted Cruz jumps out at me, too. He's been riding pretty high, certainly in Iowa, but still 26 points behind nationally. And again, we've said it many times, but Jeb Bush, for all the money he's been spending, and a new report yesterday that he's still spent much more than anybody else, 30 points behind Donald Trump.
Yeah, Jeb's problem isn't one of how many campaign ads he runs and all of that. It really is just how people are looking at him and his candidacy right now. It's just not, it's not a part of the GOP conversation. So beyond that, when you look at someone like Ted Cruz or even a Chris Christie, who have the greatest upside going into January and February, the national polls begin to mean a little bit more to them in terms of their placement. That's really kind of the starting point for them in that 30-day push before the bell rings on February 1st.
And look at this, Harold Ford. Donald Trump, 37% outsider. Ben Carson, 11% outsider. Ted Cruz, outsider, reviled by the Republican establishment. The only two D.C. establishment figures in this poll, Rubio and Bush, are in single digits.
I'm the leading state sponsor of terrorism.